It's time for news on Luntha television with me, Charity Shilanga. Let's have a look at the top stories. Pope Leo XIV calls for peace and condemns war and death penalty. Energy Minister attributes worsening fuel shortage to inherited depleted reserves and structural challenges. Asset declaration nears 95% and officials urged to achieve full compliance. And in our exclusive report this week, with the curtain officially risen on the 2026-2027 football season, Patrick Popper takes an in-depth look at what this new era of sponsorship could mean for the beautiful game in Malawi. We have the details to these and many other stories. Stay tuned. Pope Leo XIV has reiterated his strong opposition to war, stating clearly that as a pastor he cannot be in favor of war. Speaking to journalists aboard the Popo plane as it returned from Malabo, Equatorial Guinea to Rome on Thursday, the Pope stressed that too many innocent lives have been lost, underlining the moral responsibility of leaders to pursue peace rather than violence. The Pontiff, who has concluded his 11-day apostolic journey in Africa, recorded in particular the suffering of children affected by conflicts in Iran and Lebanon, sharing the pain of witnessing young victims of war. We have a Vatican News report being read in our studios by Fales Chizombe.
Reflecting on his mission, the Pope said his primary calling is to proclaim the gospel to all people, emphasizing that evangelization must reach every corner of the world. He described his travels not as political engagement, but as pastoral visits aimed at strengthening faith, unity, and hope among communities. He highlighted how the tragedy of war reflects the human cost of ongoing violence and urged the international community to keep the dignity of every person, especially children, at the center of decision-making. Addressing the issue of capital punishment, Pope Leo XIV firmly condemned the death penalty, describing it as incompatible with respect for human life. He called for its abolition worldwide, insisting that justice must never take the form of ending a human life. He also emphasized the importance of international law, noting that it must be respected by all nations as a foundation for peace and cooperation. The Pope warned that disregarding legal norms risks deepening conflict and undermining global stability. During the exchange, Pope Leo XIV touched on the role of the Church in diplomacy, explaining that the Holy See often works quietly behind the scenes to promote dialogue and reconciliation. He suggested that such discreet efforts can sometimes be more effective than public interventions. Concluding his remarks, the Pope reaffirmed his call for a culture of peace rooted in dialogue, justice, and respect for human dignity. He encouraged all people, leaders and citizens alike, to reject hatred and division and instead work together toward a more peaceful and human world. End report.
Minister of Energy and Mining Jane Matanga has attributed the worsening fuel shortage to long-standing structural challenges inherited by the current administration, including critically low or depleted fuel reserves at the time it assumed office. Speaking on Friday during a press briefing in Luntha, Matanga acknowledged the severity of the situation, noting that fuel supply disruptions have significantly affected transportation, business operations and daily livelihoods across the country. However, she expressed optimism that ongoing interventions will begin to stabilize the situation, with noticeable improvements in fuel availability expected by next week. Alison Banda with the details.
Disclosed that government has abandoned the government-to-government fuel procurement arrangement. She said although the model was initially intended to ensure consistent supply, it proved to be unsustainable due to high foreign exchange requirements needed to import large volume of fuel. She added that government is now considering alternative logistics solutions, including transporting fuel by rail, as part of efforts to improve efficiency and reduce delays in the supply chain. She added that rail and pipeline systems from the port would provide more reliable and cost-effective fuel movement. She also revealed that government is engaging relevant stakeholders to explore possible connections to the Zimbabwe pipeline network with the aim of strengthening fuel supply stability in the country. Matanga indicated that authorities are currently reviewing alternative procurement strategies that are better aligned with Malawi's foreign exchange constraints while ensuring consistent fuel availability. On the issue of persistent electricity blackouts, she said the outages are largely as a result of underinvestment and inadequate maintenance within the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, ESCOM.
The forex for us to be able to pay for the fuels, and from last Wednesday we started pushing in. Trucks have been coming, and from last Wednesday we're looking at about 243 trucks that have been loading in our ports, in the ports in Tanzania and Mozambique, and some are already in the country and others are in transit, and we keep on loading, and I'm sure come next week, Monday, Tuesday, we should see a very big difference to the supply of fuel.
Government has emphasized that restoring stability in the energy sector remains a top priority, given its critical role in supporting economic growth and national development.
Nearly 95% of politicians and senior public officers have declared their assets, according to the Office of the Director of Public Officers Declarations Audit. But authorities and experts are urging the remaining officials to comply, stressing that asset declaration is a legal requirement that demands full adherence. Confirming the development, the Public Relations Officer in Audit, Diamike Perry, however, noted that the high compliance rate should not lead to complacency among the remaining public officers. She has since emphasized that there is no room for relaxation, as asset declaration is mandatory and must be fulfilled by all without any excuses. More details in this report followed by Gift Kalonga.
PD emphasized that asset declaration is a legal requirement and not optional, stressing that all public officers are expected to comply fully with the law without any exceptions. PD added that the remaining officers who have not yet declared should do so immediately, noting that the office will continue ensuring full compliance across all government institutions.
They are doing well because so far 95% of those political and elected public officers that assumed duties after the 2025 general elections have declared. However, since we are still compiling, we are yet to ascertain the exact figure, but I would say that 95% of those.
Political expert George Perry has said the high rate of asset declaration among public officers is a positive development, but stresses that full compliance must remain the ultimate goal. He noted that declaration is a legal requirement and should be strictly enforced, warning that partial compliance should not be treated as sufficient. Perry added that authorities must ensure all remaining public officers comply without delay, emphasizing that the law does not allow exceptions or relaxation in such matters.
My understanding is that it is law to do that, and because it is law, everyone must do. It is not the issue of that many have done it, then the rest can relax. I don't think there is any position for relaxation, but all public officers are supposed to declare their assets and that they should comply with the law without any excuse of.
Meanwhile, the Office of Director of Public Officers Declarations, or DPOD, has reiterated its commitment to ensuring all public officers comply with the legal requirement to declare their assets. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift.
The Ministry of Health has raised concern over a sharp increase in teenage pregnancies in the country, warning that the trend is becoming a major driver of school dropouts among girls. Principal Secretary for Health, Daniel Malika, sounded the alarm at Santano Ground in the area of Traditional Authority Amidu in Balaka during the launch of the Cow-Cock Choice Project. Malika added that urgent action is needed to address the root causes and protect girls' education and future opportunities. The WASH Media Forum says it has taken action beyond reporting to contribute to hygiene solutions in health facilities. WASH Media Forum executive member Patrick Kachere made the remarks in Lilongwe during a cleaning exercise at Waila Hospital, organized in partnership with Water Aid Malawi and CTS Kolia. More details in this report read by Tandiwe Mzumara.
In his remarks, Kajere said the exercise aims at addressing gaps in sanitation and reinforcing the role of the media in promoting practical solutions to water, sanitation and hygiene challenges. He said the initiative also demonstrates solidarity with frontline health workers and patients while encouraging shared responsibility in maintaining clean public institutions.
We wanted to take an action as it is beyond capacity in terms of writing and reporting, as we are part of providing solutions to hygiene. So we identified some gaps in various facilities, including Baira. So our plans is to ensure that facilities are able to be clean and maybe to safeguard everything that is associated with WASH.
Waila Hospital Principal Health Promotion Officer Richard Mvula has commended the forum and its partners for the initiative, saying it has helped improve sanitation and hygiene standards at the facility.
Should make sure that at any place where he or she is sanitation and hygiene is maintained, because sometimes you see people, they think like it's okay just to litter around and to throw things anyhow, because there are ground laborers who will be doing the sweeping and anyone else maybe who is charged to do the cleaning. But it has to start with all of us, and you as a media coming, we believe you take this message across that sanitation is a responsibility of every citizen here in Malawi.
CTS Group of Companies General Manager Joseph Manda said the company supported the initiative as part of efforts to promote cleanliness and prevent the spread of diseases in public spaces.
We thought it wise to come support in this initiative so that we can prevent the spread of diseases surrounding the hospital, because hospitals receive people from different areas. So CTS is in full support as a Malawian company from our executive director, Jacqueline Sisia Bobosi. We want to take part, and we have taken part in this.
The WASH Media Forum, with support from Water Aid Malawi, donated various WASH items to Waila Hospital during the exercise. Similar events were also conducted at Mzuzu Hospital. Similar activities were also conducted at Mzuzu Community Hospital and Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital by forum members in the northern and southern regions, respectively.
You're watching news on Luntha television. Now a reminder of the top stories. Pope Leo XIV calls for peace and condemns war and death penalty. Energy Minister attributes worsening fuel shortage to inherited depleted reserves and structural challenges. Asset declaration nears 95% and officials urged to achieve full compliance. And in our exclusive report this week, with the curtain officially risen on the 2026-2027 football season, Patrick Popper takes an in-depth look at what this new era of sponsorship could mean for the beautiful game in Malawi. Moving on with the news, the Physician Associates Union of Malawi, PAUM, has reaffirmed its commitment to addressing mental health challenges among adolescents and young people through a newly launched awareness campaign in Lilongwe. Speaking during the launch, PAUM President Solomon Jomba said mental health remains a critical issue that requires urgent national attention as it affects people across all age groups. The organization has partnered with the United Kingdom-based Malawi Healthcare Support (MAHECAS) to strengthen advocacy and expand the reach of the campaign, with the aims to promote early intervention and education on mental health issues affecting the country's youth. Emmanuel George reports.
Ripoti la bunge lona za umoyo pa dziko lonse lapansi la mchaka cha 2018 dziko lililonse limayenera kupereka thandizo la zachuma losachepera 5% ku nduna za umoyo pofuna kukwanitsa masomphenya pa ntchito za umoyo maka amayi ndi ana. Kauniuni wa bungwe la Health and Rights Education Program wapeza kuti ngakhale thandizo lopita ku nduna
We apologize for that wrong report. Moving on, Ambassador Justice Tujilane Rose Chizumila, a judge of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, has called for greater awareness on issues of refugees, statelessness and discrimination, encouraging society to reflect on the realities faced by vulnerable groups. Speaking as she launched her inspiring book From a Refugee Girl to a Judge at the Moroccan Embassy in Lilongwe on Friday, Justice Chizumela expressed hope that the book will spark conversations on policy and human rights. Judith Organ has found this report.
The book From a Refugee Girl to a Judge tells a powerful story of survival, identity, and determination, while encouraging society to reflect on the realities faced by refugees and vulnerable groups. Born in Zomba in 1953, her life changed dramatically in 1965 when her family fled Malawi during the rule of late Dr. Hastings Kamuzubanda and became refugees in Tanzania. From that difficult beginning, she rose against all odds, studying law, building a career of over 45 years, becoming one of Malawi's first female lawyers, a high court judge, ombudsman, and later a judge at the African Court of Human and People's Rights. She explained that beyond her personal story, the book aims to inspire both refugees and young people facing hardships to remain resilient and not give up, stressing that challenges can arise unexpectedly. She further emphasized the need for greater awareness on issues of refugees, statelessness, and discrimination, saying the book should spark conversations on policy and human rights.
The inspiration is there is hope, so don't give up. And even for those youths who are not refugees, I mean, they go through challenges are everywhere. So it is also for them, those who have not been refugees and are not refugees, to say, know your history. The idea is they should know there was this history, and it can happen. As we heard from Dr. Joyce Banda, the 4th president of Malawi, that anything can happen. You can become a refugee overnight. So we need to understand what does it mean. And for me, I connect this issue of being a refugee even with the issue of being an orphan.
The launch was graced by former President Dr. Joyce Banda, who emphasized the importance of telling stories that highlight resilience and the realities of displacement. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Judith Ogan.
AIDS Healthcare Foundation AHF Malawi has called on World Health Organization WHO member states to urgently finalize a strong and binding pathogen access and benefit sharing PABs annex to the WHO pandemic agreement ahead of the resumed 6th meeting of the Intergovernmental Working Group or Part B, scheduled to take place in Geneva from April 27th to May 1st. AHF Malawi Country Program Manager Triza Kakubehara made the call during a press briefing in Lilongwe, where stakeholders emphasized the lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic and the need to avoid repeating inequalities in global health responses. We have a report read in our studios by Kalisto Sekeleza.
In her remarks, Hara said the agreement is critical to ensuring fairness, equity, and equal access to vaccines, treatments, and health technologies between the global north and the global south in the event of future pandemics. She stressed that the proposed annex should guarantee equal access to vaccines and promote technology transfer to enable developing countries to manufacture their own medical products rather than depending on external suppliers. Hara said Malawi and other developing countries must benefit from available scientific knowledge and production capacity, warning that civil society will continue advocating for fairness if the final agreement does not adequately address equity concerns.
Let's say, for example, vaccines. We should have that, given that opportunity as the poor part of the world, to be in a position to even manufacture our own vaccines, as compared to other bigger companies having the opportunity or the privilege to say this is our own, we can manufacture the vaccines, and they decide at whatever point when to send to the poor people. But we want Malawi as well as the other poor countries to benefit from whatever technology that is available.
Journalists Association Against AIDS Program Manager Dingan Miti, who also represented civil society and the Parliamentary Committee on Health, warned that failure to correct the imbalances would risk repeating the same injustices in future global health emergencies, urging negotiators to adopt a clear, fair, and binding framework that protects the interests of least developed countries such as Malawi.
So that if the next big pandemic hits the world, poor countries have to also benefit, because if you have a pandemic access benefit sharing annex which is not very clear, which is leaving poor countries behind, we'll end up having the same scenario whereby we'll be accessing treatments, vaccines very late when we have already lost a lot of people, when people have already died. So it's a mistake which the world made, and AHF wants to join all other civil society organizations across the world to say that we should not repeat the same mistake as to what happened last time.
The 60th meeting of the Intergovernmental Working Group on the WHO Pandemic Agreement is set for April 27 to May 1 in Geneva, Switzerland, where member states are expected to advance negotiations on the critical PABS annex.
Going back to our area story, the Physicians Association Union of Malawi POM has reaffirmed its commitment to addressing mental health challenges among adolescents and young people through a newly launched awareness campaign in Lilongwe. Speaking during the launch, PAUM President Solomon Jomba said mental health remains a critical issue that requires urgent national attention as it affects people across all age groups. The organization has partnered with the United Kingdom-based Malawi Healthcare Support Mahekas to strengthen advocacy and expand the reach of the campaign with the aims to promote early intervention and education on mental health issues affecting the country's youth. Emmanuel Jocha with the details.
Chomba explained that the program marks the second phase of the project following the successful implementation of the first phase from January to September 2025. The initial phase targeted selected secondary schools in Ncheu and Dedza district, including Kola Community Day Secondary School, Ncheu Secondary School, and Dedza Secondary School. He added that the current phase, seeking to further integrate mental health awareness into education system, focusing on adolescents and young people as the key drivers of the country's future.
We give them that knowledge, that capacity, and once they have seen them try to do their interventions, the basic intervention that we also train them on, they will be able to refer the patients, the students now, to the mental health coordinators at the district level. Because this project, when you go to these schools, we don't travel alone. We go with the mental health coordinators right away from the hospital. So we are opening up a way right away from the school to the hospital. So it's a way like if somebody is having mental health issues, can be taken without any hassles to the hospital, and then we address the mental health issues, we treat them up, and then the student, the quality of life of the students gets improved, and the performance also drastically also gets improved. So that's what we are doing at the moment.
Mental health expert from St. John of God, Joy Nkandawire, has since commended PAUM for the initiative, describing it as a step in the right direction. Nkandawire emphasized the importance of engaging young people, noting that they are particularly vulnerable to risky behaviors such as substance abuse, including alcohol and cannabis.
We are going to save our country from the burden of having citizens who are maybe getting involved in abusing of substances, citizens who maybe they think suicide is a solution to their personal problems, or people who are failing to be resilient with the socioeconomic hardships that the country is facing. So giving them the right information, we are going to equip our country with skills in terms of how to manage your mental well-being, and as a result, we're going to build a country that is resilient in terms of decision-making and making the right choices about their lives in order to be productive people of the country.
The project, funded by Mahekas at the cost of about 28 million kwacha, will be implemented in secondary schools across Mzimba, Chikwawa, Dedza, Ncheu, and Lilongwe district. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emma.
Finally, the curtain is officially risen on the 2026-2027 football season in Malawi, ushering in a renewed sense of excitement, ambition and promise across the domestic game. The traditional season opener, the NBS Bank Charity Shield, set the tone in emphatic fashion as Mighty Wanderers FC etched their name into history by clinching the title for the very first time since the competition's inception in 2016. Their triumph not only delivered silverware but also signaled a strong statement of intent ahead of what is expected to be a fiercely competitive campaign. Beyond the action on the pitch, the 2026-2027 season marks a transformative chapter for Malawian football following a landmark sponsorship agreement between FDH Bank and the Super League of Malawi, Sulom. With this partnership, the Elite League will now be known as the FDH Bank Premiership, a development that has sparked optimism among clubs, players and supporters alike. In this week's special report, Patrick Pupa takes an in-depth look at what this new era of sponsorship could mean for the beautiful game in Malawi.
The Super League of Malawi Sulum is set to officially launch the highly anticipated 2026-27 season at the iconic Kamuzu Stadium, where defending champions Mighty Wonders FC will lock horns with Karonga United on Saturday 25 April 2026. Reacting to the level of preparedness among participating teams, General Secretary for Clegg Sporting Club Aaron Kandiomtaya expressed confidence and excitement, emphasizing that the long wait for competitive football is finally over. Mtaya said clubs have used the off-season productively by strengthening their squads, improving technical preparations, and focusing on professionalism both on and off the pitch.
We prayed with them that this should be a tradition, because many of the times that teams get it tough and difficult to meet the needs at the start of the season. So, yeah, we are very thankful for that.
General Secretary of the Super League of Malawi, Williams Banda, has called upon all 16 participating teams to strictly adhere to the rules and regulations governing the game. He stressed the importance of discipline, integrity, and respect for football, noting that compliance is essential in maintaining the credibility and smooth running of the league. Banda further urged clubs to uphold fair play, both on and off the pitch, as this will contribute to building professional and globally respected football environment in the country.
Season, the rivalry, as well as the unforgettable 2026-2027 season. Let me first recognize and acknowledge the tireless effort of the Sulum executive, members of the fixtures committee, as well as the secretariat.
In a matter of compliance, the Football Association Malawi has granted the club licensing to 14 teams ahead of the new season, as Civil Service United and Clegg Sporting Club are yet to meet all the required license criteria. They have been given a strict deadline of 21 May 2026 to fulfill the outstanding requirements. Failure to comply within the stipulated time frame will attract disciplinary measures, including possible point deductions. Farm Club licensing manager Clement Kafafa said the licensing process is essential in ensuring that the clubs meet minimum standards required for participation in elite competitions.
It's just a matter of continuation from what they left in the NDO, and now you can see that they've done very well. Last year we had almost 11 teams that they were granted a full license, and also this time we have got 14 teams that have been given the license. This shows that we have got a very good progress, and the team, they are complying to what we are looking for.
Commenting on the development, President of the Super League of Malawi, Brigadier Gilbert Mitawa, highlighted that the club licensing is not merely a formality, but a critical tool in promoting transparency and accountability, sustainable growth within clubs, encouraging teams to view the process as an opportunity to strengthen their administrative, financial, and technical structures. He further reaffirmed Sulum's dedication to supporting clubs while also ensuring that regulations are respected as Malawian football continues on its path towards greater professionalism and regional competitiveness.
Just make sure that we identify a suitable date for that particular game without necessarily wanting to start shifting the fixture schedule. We therefore are urging the clubs and the players to also play their part in ensuring that they commit themselves on the field of play to give the sponsors and the supporters value for their long-awaited FDH Bank Premiership.
Week 1 of the FDH Bank Premiership promises a mouth-watering encounters as Mighty Wonders FC begin their title defense against Karonga United, while Civil Service United face FCB Nyasa Big Bullets. Other fixtures include Kamuzu Barracks vs Silver Strikers, Mwere Barracks against the Dynamos, and on Sunday, Masters FC will host Chitipa United. Further matches will see Blue Eagles FC take on Ekaya FC, Red Lions Barrow Clegg Sporting Club, while Mafco FC face Luana Mitundu FC. The big questions remains, who will lift the 2026-27 FT Bank Premiership title? With a staggering 200 million prize awaiting the champions, every club will be pushing beyond limits to claim the glory.
With that item, we've also come to the end of our today's bulletin, but let's have a recap of the top stories before we go. Pope Leo XIV calls for peace and condemns war and death penalty. Energy Minister attributes worsening fuel shortage to inherited depleted reserves and structural challenges. Asset declaration nears 95% and officials urged to achieve full compliance. And in our exclusive report this week, with the curtain officially risen on the 2026-2027 football season, Patrick Popper takes an in-depth look at what this new era of sponsorship could mean for the beautiful game in Malawi. You've been with me, Charita Chilanga. Thanks for the pleasure of your company and have a lovely weekend.